FreeBSD reviews, tutorials and gaming.
In between starting this video and uploading it to YouTube, a full release was released by Project Trident, version 18.12, and although this was based upon a pre-released version 2, it's still valid in that it was only some minor changes between this and the full release. Right then, we're on the Project Trident install screen. You've got some panel on the left hand side with 3 options: system, keyboard and locale. We'll have a look at that now. System gives you a general summary of your system that you're installing to, and the PCI information. That's quite handy actually. Keyboard, you can select the correct keyboard for your country, English UK, and oh, that's interesting. No, I didn't mean to click on that one. We'll just leave it blank. And locale, English, yeah, GB. That's. How do we get rid of that? You click on it and... no, never mind. There's your host name, local time, and time zone. Oh, it slips. I'll try again. And no. If you try and scroll up that with your middle wheel, it loses focus. So if you just leave if you leave it just to drag up to the top on its own, select London. That looks fine. Next. This is your disk partition, so I'm going to install it in one big partition. I'm doing this on VirtualBox, but I did the same thing in the real hardware install. It installs ZFS by default, and there's your options to change the settings if you wish. And oh yeah, I know. Oh, that's right. That's how we get rid of it. Okay, so advanced options is where you want to change things. That looks alright. We'll do that. Yep. And these are some of the packages that you can install before you start to install the main system, like Bash and W3M, I think, and XFAT, yeah. And also you can install your graphics drivers as well before you get going, so I choose the latest. I know this is in VirtualBox, but I did the same thing in the real hardware install, which has an NVIDIA card. Also installs Virtual Machine Guest as well, which is pretty cool. I don't think there's anything else I need. No, printer, no. We'll just click next. Password for root or admin. Super secure as usual. And user account real name. RoboNuggie, of course. Which then should, yeah, it does. Oh, never mind. Didn't need to retype it. Then you got the password for that user, and repeat it, of course. The shell is ZSH, and I'll change that to SH, which is the default user shell on FreeBSD anyway. This is the summary of what we're just going to do, and start install. I don't think there's anything else I need to do, is there? No, we'll start install. And we'll leave it to that. I won't, of course, leave it to install in real time, so I'm going to fast forward this. Notable changes since 18.12 pre-release 1. There's been some important fixes, including App Cafe and the About System info util. There's been 154 new packages added, with 20 removed, and 1350 have been updated. And PersonaCrypt has been removed and may not return. Migration to another alternative is advised. The NVIDIA drivers installed in Project Trident are the latest ones available for FreeBSD, which are 390.87. Sound works perfectly. The AAC867 chipset was automatically configured, and switching from the back to the front audio jack, the 3.5mm audio jack, worked perfectly. The system automatically detected which connector we was using, as did the insertion of a USB Turtle Beach PLA headset and mic. It's one that I use for the PS4 and it works perfectly on that. It automatically detected that, and well, that's pretty cool. There was no problem with the AMD SB950 SATA chipset, with no performance degradation. I had some problem with that on GhostBSD, a very early build, but not really anything major. My webcam, a Logitech C270 HD, worked flawlessly without any configuration needed in OBS. I could not get it to work in Cheese, but then again I have that problem in vanilla FreeBSD anyway. But in OBS it worked perfectly. No configuration was needed to access Linux and Windows file systems on USB, and the system automatically mounted any USB drive that was put into the USB socket. Trident detected my CanaScan 220 flatbed scanner. It works flawlessly on other machines with other operating systems, but in this occasion it was detected but failed to take a satisfactory scan. Now this is the problem I've had with FreeBSD, so that leads me to perhaps think that this is a hardware problem with my computer. I'll be running some further tests on that and perhaps come up with an update later. Right, here we are on the Lumina desktop of the latest pre-release of Project Trident. It's pre-release 2, and that is the latest as of the time of this recording. It's pretty much what we've seen before, but with a lot more polish. But I'll try and show you everything that's changed. At the moment you're viewing the desktop in full, and you can see there are two independent desktops, even though it's one big workspace. Say for instance, I can drag over this window left and right, left and right, left and right. It treats it as one big workspace, but each independent screen has its own wallpaper, which randomly changes, which I think is very nice. So if I maximize that to that one, that's because I'm viewing it on two separate monitors. They're quite old monitors, but still, you know, they're good enough for the job. And Lumina detects that and treats them as two separate workspaces but joined, which I think is a very nice touch. Lumina is not something which is to everyone's taste. I actually personally think it's a wonderful creation, which was created specifically for TrueOS, or PCBSD, then TrueOS, and now Project Trident, or Trident when it will be released. And because Project Trident was a necessity in the making because of how TrueOS is changing its focus, it also shifted back the next release of Lumina, which would have been Lumina 2.0, and there would have been even more changes to the back end. But at the moment, Lumina is still a Fluxbox base with customization on top. But that doesn't detract from the fact that I personally think it's a very beautiful window manager, very functional. There are some quirks to it which, if you're not used to that, will you maybe find them off-putting. Say for instance, every time you install a new application or a new program, it automatically puts an icon on the desktop, which some people may find off-putting, some people might not bother. It doesn't bother me the slightest, because you can always delete it from the desktop and then just pin it to the taskbar down there if you want to do that. So for instance, if you right click, you can drag to application or modify. So yeah, There's plenty of different things you can do to the icons, or you can just simply delete them. But anyway, we'll have a look what's going on. This is interesting. Even though this is Project Trident, which is based upon TrueOS, there is still a FreeBSD icon on the taskbar, which I like, and I hope they don't remove that. I hope they keep that there as a little homage to its ancestry, I think. Before we start the review properly, I'm just going to switch Simple Screen Recorder to record one screen only, and then you'll get a clearer picture what's going on. Right, we're back on one screen, and that which should be easy for you to see on the resolution at which it's been uploaded on YouTube, which is, I currently upload it at 720. So Lumina, I've covered Lumina a few times on the channel. I think I did over an hour video once on Lumina on FreeBSD. But Lumina is perhaps, I mean, it is fully compatible with FreeBSD, but I think it's more at home on TrueOS and now Project Trident. Just purely for the integration and the fact that many of its creators are the ones behind Project Trident and TrueOS anyway. You do get a few applications with the default install. What you see here, these ones, VLC, I think VLC is with it. But anyway, Webcamoid, NVIDIA server, NVIDIA settings, Audacity, Simple Screen Recorder, OBS, and I think and Cheese, and Comoso were all added by myself for this review. I'll just move them ones over there just to show you. VLC. Everything else pretty much comes with the install. You get Falcon as the default browser, which is very nice. I do like Falcon. And I think that's it. Stream record over there. Yeah. So you do get a basic smatterings of applications. And one thing that struck me when I first started using this latest pre-release of Project Trident was the fact that it's superficial. I mean, I've often berated other reviewers for being superficial in the sense that they concentrate on the icons. But one thing that a lot of people who perhaps saw Lumina and TrueOS when it first came out was the fact that they said it looked ugly. Now, I mean, to me, I use Motive Window Manager, and that's about as plain as you can get. It's certainly not a beautiful window manager, but it's very functional, and to me that's the most important part. But what people were criticising was the fact that it looked ugly, and the icons in particular were ugly and maybe inconsistent. I mean, I think I've said that myself. I found that there has been a revamp of the look of Lumina on Trident since the last time I looked at it. A lot of the icons have actually been changed, and although I'm not one for focusing on wallpapers and icons, it actually does add to the overall feel of the operating system. If you click on the desktop settings link there, at one point these will be fairly plain or bland or inconsistent or ugly, and to me, I noticed the big change, and they look very nice indeed. But we'll look at the basic. We'll look at the basic applications first before we look at that. You get perhaps the most important one is App Cafe, which is the graphical package manager for Project Trident. Of course, it still belies its TrueOS origins, which I think they will change down the line. I would imagine that they will change down the line. For anyone who's used to OctoPKG or OctoPy or Synaptic, this will be pretty intuitive, although there are one or two differences. You have a search bar at the top. You can browse categories this way if you wish. You can look at these individual tabs at the bottom, or you can just look at the installed ones. just to see what actually has been installed. We'll have a look at the browse category. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to look at games. FreeBSD has quite a few games. No AA titles, of course, and that's to preserve Windows and Linux via Steam. But it has quite a few games, enough to keep you interested and entertained for a while. A lot of them are open source games, and a lot of them I've actually seen before, which is pretty cool. Of course, you've got Super Tux and Super Tux 2, Super Tux Kart, which is always enjoyable. In fact, we'll have a look at that. To install an application, you obviously see it and then you press install, and then it'll give you the various details, download size, disk space required and stuff like that. If you want any more details, there's a little bit of text underneath. So if you press OK, you click on the pending tab, it'll show you the current status as it's actually installing, and underneath it is a viewable real-time log of the install processes. It's a little bit slow, but that's my internet speed, and it's already done. Right, there's Super Tux Kart. I think there is an issue with the speed of installation for packages. I think that's I might drop them a line on that actually, because it seemed to be a lot slower than it was last time. Offline account. Just in case YouTube decides to place a little restriction on that audio. But anyway, single player, login, add-ons, let's have a look, see what works. And okay, I pick that. Oh, no. I'll pick that one. I should have picked the BSD one, I know, but hey, you know what you're going to do. There we go. My game playing skill is not very good. Oh dear. And we'll call it quits there before I embarrass myself anymore. Yep, I'm not very good at racing games. So yeah, Super Tux Kart seems to work very well. It installed nicely. It's a little bit slow, but it's still installed nicely. Yeah, very good. This is a pre-release. Now, I don't know what pre-releases are. I don't know if it's like a beta or it's practically finished part, you know, apart from one or two finishing touches or crossing the T's and dotting the I's. I don't know. Right. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I went to start that game and it played on the other monitor, and when I came back it's rearranged my icons again. That's that's interesting. Okay. I don't know whether that's... Oh, look at that, look, you drag that to the bottom and it shrinks in order to fit down there. That's cool. I like that. Yeah, shrinks. Whee! So yeah, I mean, that's the fun side, of course. But let's have a look at the more serious side of it. We'll have a look at webcam compatibility, because that's always something which interests me. So we'll get to open OBS. Just drag that over so you can see, and the webcam, which is I've just bought that recently. It's a better quality webcam than my old Sony one. This is a Logitech C2. It's a Logitech C270 HD or something. I don't know. It was relatively cheap. It's only about £20. It's not expensive. And yeah, picks it up all right. As is per standard, there's a view of the fireplace, nice and warm in here. And let's add desktop. Let's have a look. What is it? Window capture. That'll do. Well, on top. So you're seeing OBS taking a picture of OBS taking a picture of OBS. Has all the functionality if you're into this sort of thing, which I will be soon. I'll be putting my ugly mug on the screen soon, and yeah, it works very nicely. The image is crisp and sharp, and that's everything you need. We're not. I don't think we're going to run Tomatoes again, so I'll just delete it from the desktop. I know it's still on the system, you have to delete it properly, but from the desktop it's gone, so I won't be tempted to click on it. The control panel is where a lot of the settings are tweaked. I've mentioned in previous videos what each one does. You get on the users tab, you obviously get users, where you can control the name, the access rights, even what shell they use. It's everything you can do in FreeBSD via the command line or via a text file, but it's handy, I suppose, to have it on a nice little GUI interface. And obviously you can change the groups, which is all weird. Oh, operating wheel, very good. That's interesting because it's automatically put me in the operator and wheel group, so I can access super user via the terminal and access to other various things I might want to do, like DVD mounting and USB mounting. System controls, yeah. You can tweak the various aspects if you wish. Let's see what each one does. BSD and jails, and what each one is currently set at. Very nice. Mouse settings is self-explanatory, really. You can change everything about the mouse if you wish. Devices, let's have a look. You can see how each one is performing, what's connected to your system, Ethernet, multimedia, HTA, that's its sound, what sound devices there are, your mass storage, ATA, your various IDIs. It's all very good, all useful to know. You got your task, what's currently running on the system, and a nice little breakdown of memory consumption and CPU usage, which I like this. I do prefer top. It's something which I'm used to, but I think this is way better than H-top. H-top is simplistic, and it doesn't always measure the correct memory usage on a BSD system. And this way you can actually stop individual tasks if you wish. I'm not going to do them right now because I'll probably mess something up. Yeah, let's go back. And services, it'll give you a list of currently running services. And there we go. Firewall tells you if your firewall's running and what settings are in. Is it running at the moment? I think it is. Although there's no rules. It's open by service. These are predefined services that you can tell it to allow. It's quite a lot. I'll have a look at that later, I think. So I think it is running, but it's It's not going up on the screen, and whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I don't know. Boot environments, if you want to make backups and reboot from a non-working install, which is pretty good. I like that. Some of it I've not used yet, but I'll have to look into that as well. SSL keys if you wish. There's none stored there at the moment. And that's for your system admin server settings. Your app cafe we've seen. And let's go back. So yeah, that's your control panel. It's fairly easy. It's nothing too complicated. Your preferences, configure desktop, workspaces. You only get 2 workspaces. Now you only get 2 workspaces by default. Now I don't know if that's standard or is it just a little bit on the small side. I don't know. Maybe I'll change the keyboard to UK British English. There we go. Preferences. Can we change that? Ah, maybe we can change that in a bit. So if you right click, control panel, Lumina, all desktop settings, let's have a look. Brings us to the more cosmetic. There are a few functional things, but this basically replicates. I think this may be the problem for Lumina, which I spotted last time. This basically replicates everything that was in the control panel, more or less. There's 1 or 2 differences. There's device manager. Yeah. There's a certain bit of replication going on there. Maybe that needs to be looked into. Just have one or all these. But this certainly looks a lot nicer than what you see in the control panel. The control panel looks jarring in context to all the rest of the icons there. That's nitpicking, but you know, like they say, first impressions count. So you know, if you want to perhaps change the mindset of some people who think that FreeBSD and Lumina and TrueOS are really not desktop candidates, maybe 1 or 2 little tweaks need to be still done. You have screen. There's 1 or 2 options which are not available in the control panel. So look at the task manager. That's what we've seen before with just a different icon. And now I see, that's interesting. I click on this, and there's no way back. Maybe a button to the back to that selection might have been better. Okay, I mean, I see. I'm nitpicking. I really am nitpicking. Screensaver, so you can change the various parameters and whether it comes on and off if you wish. It's all good. Mouse configuration, Lumina screen configuration, that's interesting. That's all you can change your monitors. Yep, that looks fairly standard if you're used to that. Device manager we've seen, screensaver, user configuration, service manager, NVIDIA server settings. Always useful to have this installed, I think, in case you do want to make any changes to your screen. So the latest driver is 390.87, which I think is the latest one for FreeBSD. Display name, yeah, Trident, yeah. There's various graphic settings, GLX, OpenGL. Yeah, that's good. Yes, I do want to quit this. The Lumina theme engine takes you down to there is an option later on so you can tweak the various things in Fluxbox, but if you want to tweak the Lumina part of it, then this is the one that will do it for you. If you want to change the Windows styles. Let's see, what you say, change windows. More or less hard edges, and the fusion, which is more softer. Color scheme. Got waves, which is blue. Trident dark, which is the default. I quite like Trident dark. I don't like dark themes, but Trident dark's alright. We've got simple. I don't mind simple. That's quite nice. You've got sand. Although why that's sand, I have no idea. Doesn't look like sand to me. Dusk. Darker, which is okay, and airy, which is looks like simple. If you've noticed on this, it doesn't change the top part because that comes under the Fluxbox window manager settings. It's a complicated symbiosis really between the two. They both start up, but they're both separate. You see one on top of the other. It's hard to explain. Right, we'll take that down to Trident Dark actually, I think I like that. You can change the effects, double clicks, everything from cursor flash time. You can actually alter the cursor flash time. So the moment the cursor is flashing, every 1000 milliseconds. We'll change that to 20 and see what happens. You can see that cursor now is flashing like there is no tomorrow, so I'll bring that back to the default. There's me messing around with things I shouldn't be messing around with. That's better. Activate items on a single click. No, I kind of do like that, and I don't like that. It depends on the implementation. Sometimes things are a bit over eager, and I find myself having to close down things which inadvertently started. Enable GUI effects. Mouse effect. Animate. No, I'll tell you what. We'll go for. Let's see if that works. No, maybe when I log in next time. Dialog buttons of icons. Yeah. So there's various knickknacks, and we'll go to fonts. Fonts is pretty standard. I like the fonts as they are. Icons. If you want to change the icon set. There we go. They changed a bit. Material. Let's go light. This is what a lot of the icon set used to be like in previous releases, actually. Them two there. Le Trident. I like that. Breeze. I think everyone's seen Breeze. And add waiter. Yeah, that's pretty standard. We'll put on back to that one. Cursors you can change. General styles. That's basically the effects of the taskbar or application part at the bottom to make it transparent and glass-like, and whether or not your icons on the screen have as I roll my cursor up and down them, you can actually see a square around them. So it changes that. And also, you know, tray notifications and tooltips, etc. Yeah, there's the one that controls your icons. Your dark glass. So if I disable that, apply it. At the moment, immediately the taskbar at the bottom becomes just transparent, except for the icons. If you don't like that, put that. And you get a semi-transparent, glass-like, almost dark glass-like sheen to it. Video servings, login manager settings, which is interesting. Put password in that. Auto login. I don't know. Remote server. Let's expand that out. User control. Well, outrule login dangerous. Okay. So default themes. Dragonfly. Oh, that's interesting. You can have default, Dragonfly, Enterprise, FreeBSD, Hardened BSD, NetBSD, or OpenBSD, and TrueOS, which is interesting. I'll show you some of them in a VirtualBox session, which will probably come after this bit. App Cafe, of course. Then you can change the panels. You can change what you want to see on the panels. Oops. Preferences, there we go. No. Oh, I know, sorry. Go down towards desktop settings. Panels. Yeah. For your desktop, embedded utilities. Interesting, I've never really played with this bit before. Embedded utilities. Can we get some? Select a plugin. Okay, application launcher. System monitor. Select. Is it up here? Oh, I see. Yes, okay. I think I know where it goes. Yeah. And that pretty much stays at the bottom of the screen. I don't think you can move it. Can you move it? No. It's actually embedded, as it says. Can you go over it? Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's pretty good. That's a bit like a widgets that you might get on Windows 7, I think. Just in and out. Okay, that's good. And we'll add another one, shall we? Application calendar. Okay, let's save that. Alright, start moving the item. We can move it that way. Okay. Back to settings. Oh, no, I like that. That's pretty good. I like that. That's good. I think the range is limited at the moment, but I think that will increase. I like that. Right, okay, so you've got it'd be good to see a big clock on there. Have we got a clock? Okay, embedded utilities. Have we got a clock? Audio player, application calendar. No, there's no clock. No, that's a shame. I would like to have been seen a large clock on there. That's meant to be a notepad. And create a note. Give it a random name. And yeah, you can type up. There you go. Start moving item. Can we? Okay. So very good. I like that. It's a good touch. I've never noticed that before. You can change the menu. Switch it around the way how you like it. Sound theming. It's that's interesting. What is that? Okay. I've never noticed all of them Z's before. It's not something I've put in there. Sound of someone snoring, no doubt. Okay, someone's been on here. I'll have to have a word with them. Auto start, it does what it says. Keyboard shortcuts, if you're into that. Tells you your default applications to use. Desktop defaults, Windows effects. Only use disable compatibility. Oh, right, it was disabled. That's interesting. You would have thought that maybe that would have been in the same place as the bit that you could enable the effects, the different effects on that. Just to sort of like clarity, have it above it and say, you know, would you like to enable effects? Yes. What effects would you like? I think to have it in a separate place, so someone goes to that to enable the, to put on their various special effects, and then you click, then nothing happens, and they think, oh well, it must be broken. But the option to disable or enable it is actually hidden away in another setting, which can be confusing. So that's maybe another thing that needs to be looked at. I mean, these are only little usability things, but people can come away thinking it doesn't work, or they run out of patience with it, or they click and nothing happens. So I'll enable that, so unclick that. So it's disabled by default is the compositing. Okay. Right. Wallpaper, of course. Gives a list of all the. If you right click, although not everywhere, keep your finger on the right button. No, it's not working. Yeah. Well, again, usability, that's not the easiest thing. If someone wants to change the wallpapers, they're going to be... it's going to find them confusing. It's very little... Again, it only goes down to your directory. Yeah, that needs to be... I think that needs to be worked on as well. So that's basically all of them. General options, play chimes, window manager. I presumably we can change the background of it, the background engine. Localization, to change your different languages and keyboard settings. So that, I think, is that for the desktop settings. And of course the main menu is viewable via the right clicking, because there's the Fluxbox root of it, really. That's ZZZ. Someone's been pressing buttons. So yeah, lock screen, desktop actions. It is what it is. I mean, Lumina is not GNOME, and Lumina is not Mate, and Lumina is not OpenBox, nor is it i3, nor is it KDE. It's none of them things. It's its own creation, as it were. It's its own individual person. And I think if you go into expectations wanting it to look and do this, that, and the other, because that's the way you used to do it, I think it's going to be frustrating for you to fight against it, because there are a few usability issues that need to be sorted out. Not many. So as far as compatibility goes, I've already seen that it works with my webcam very well, as it should really. I'm going to see if it detects a USB stick, which is all pretty basic functions that you expect in a modern operating system, a desktop these days. I'm going to put in a FAT32 formatted USB stick, which one of my sons used for his school homework. So hopefully there's nothing on there which shouldn't be on there. We'll just plug it in and see. So what I'll do is that I will switch pause recording, simple screen recorder, and we'll go on to the dual screen again, and you can see over there's actually a icon popped up on the screen. I'll unplug the USB stick and replug it back in. Yep, there it is. So it identifies and installs and mounts, which is pretty good, a FAT32 USB stick without me having to install Fuse or any of them background daemons, really. That's pretty good. I like that. That's good. That puts it on par with many Linux distributions in its usability. Okay, oh look, Egypt's homework, that's nice. Bless him. I would have gone mad if there was anything else on there that shouldn't have been on there. What else can I plug in? So I'll plug that in. Camera works. Scanner. Now that's less interesting. Let's see if the scanner works. We will go to the app cafe and see if I might have already installed it actually. Scanlight. Scanlight on there. Scanlight's on there. Truth be told, I do prefer. I mean, I used to really like the app cafe's system of doing it. I always thought it was more friendly than OctoPKG. In just ease of use and the way that it looked. But I must admit that the GhostBSD package manager now, to me, is the one to go by. Right. I've just moved everything back over to the main screen again. Yeah, Scanlight. Let's see if we can get the scanner going. Press OK. Have a look at pending. See what's happening. Is it all done? Yeah, it's done. It's finished. Scanlight. Is it on the? Yeah, it's there. It is on the desktop lot. I will just minimise that. Get it out of the way. Now, if this does now, if I'm looking for devices. It's not picking up my scanner, which is a shame. Let's see if I can. Whether it acknowledges it's been. Oh, that's good. It's automatically hardened so that unprivileged users can't see system processes by default. Okay. Okay. Can scan? Yeah, it picks a can scan up, but Scanlight isn't, so I can see Scanlight via that. Oh, it's picked up as root. See, that tells me it's a permission thing then. Okay, right. So it's picked the scanner up. Let's see if it works. Shall we have a preview? Now I've had one or two issues with this scanner when it comes with like that. Okay, that needs to be looked into. So I'll plug into the. I'm trying a different USB slot. Okay. A bit better. Preview. No, interesting. Okay, we'll try one more time. Scan. It's making a noise. Yeah, the thing is, I've had one or two issues lately with this scanner, even with FreeBSD, in the sense that it works with any Linux I put on. If I connect it to a Linux box, it works. If I connect it to a Raspberry Pi, the scanner works. With FreeBSD, yeah, the picture is garbled. Yeah, it's done it again. The printer is functioning perfectly. It's just that the image is corrupt, so I don't know what's going on there. It could be my PC, but I don't know. If there's anybody that knows what could be causing that, then just drop me a line below and let me know, because it's very interesting. Like I say, it works perfectly on an Ubuntu box that I have. Well, my wife's computer. It works on Windows, and there's no problem at all on Raspberry Pi. A little old Raspberry Pi works fine. So, yeah. Oh well, it detects it anyway. The thing is, I have the same issue in FreeBSD, so it's not Project Trident's fault. So that's almost a 1. We'll call that a half. So USB works, webcam works, half works for the scanner, but then again, it's like I say, it's an issue that I'm having whichever I plug it in. Let's have a look. Right, okay. I'm just going to try a few system tests. We'll try the top to see how much memory is being consumed. It installs ZFS by default, and so that's when you see the arc, that's where it's archived data. But it installs ZFS by default, and at the moment, of course, it's using 1.7 gigabytes, because if anything else, ZFS does use a lot of memory up. But that's fine, that's okay. Everything seems to be fairly snappy, even though it uses ZFS in the background, which is not bad. So we got that going. 62 processors. What else can we look at? We can look at VMstat 3, or just VMstat with a 3 switch, and that just gives you the various throughputs. Another one I like to look at is IOstat. Oh, W3, isn't it? It's chugging on nicely. And related to that, if you put systat, do you know I can't? Yeah, systat. No, IOstat. I get confused by all the different switches that you can do. And that tells you the current load, etc. Yeah, you can see a simple screen recorder does take up a lot of processors. Not to mention ZFS. Okay, and for those who like H-top. Oh, do you know I'm terrible typing today. This is another way that you can install packages, of course, by the command line, which is, I find it a lot easier. So you can have H-top if you wish, if that's a thing. Again, it measures, it reports it as being as considerably more, but that's because it's it aggregates the active memory and the reserve memory into one big lump sum. So suddenly it's like 2.7 gigabytes rather than 1.7 as it was earlier. And that's why a lot of people, if they look at the memory consumption of a FreeBSD desktop or server, they think, crikey, that's using a lot. Well, it's not using as much as you think if you're looking at it through H-top. Right, we'll look at, well, if it lets me do it. Okay, let's clear that. And we'll look at the file structure, file layout if you wish. Jails again is installed, which is pretty neat. That's ready for you to set up and do yourself. ZFS is installed by default. So what you're looking really is a complete system. I kind of like that. I like that with reservation, in the sense that if it's pre-done for you, it may not be done to your desired taste, but you can change it, I suppose. Various aspects. But if you've never really done it before and you're curious about jails and ZFS, then it's already configured for you, and so it takes out most of the scariness. Right, so GStat. Is GStat on there? Oh, GStat's in that, that's good. Nice bit of GStat. Just tells you the various activities going on your hard drive and input-output devices, etc. Right. minimal activity going on. Of course, like again, if it was a server, you'd have a lot more pumping in and out, so you'd find a lot more on there. Let's have a look. We'll check to see if there's any. Right, one of the navigation things which does confuse people about Lumina is this bar here. You know, this is your favourites. This section there is your favourites. So you can add something to your favourites, like that. No, I'll go to that one. Modify? Nah, go to that one. If you go to the application browser, browse application, I can't speak. If you go to the browse applications and multimedia, you can, if you right click on the thing, you can pin to the desktop, add to favourites, or add to quick launch. Add to quick launch will take it to that bar down there, which is there now. And go back to it. Pin to the desktop will pin it to the desktop as it's just popped up. And add to favourites, we'll put it in the favourite part, browse applications. You can, right, so I mean the favourites are by default, as I think. So if you browse applications, you get one list can show you the entire lot, which can be quite bewildering. That's everything that's installed. Or if you click on show categories, click on it again. If you click on show categories, it will actually group them up in the individual parts, which to me is a lot neater. And this needs to be the default, I think. So there's your games. You've got your 2 games that are installed. The tomatoes one, if you think I ain't showing you, is because it appeared on the other screen and it made everything go whoopie doopie. So we'll believe in that. Multimedia. Pandora Internet Radio. If you're wondering, Cheese doesn't detect my webcam. Nor can I get Cheese to work on FreeBSD anyway, so although OBS works perfectly. So yeah, it's very good. And that's the more or less the current state of Lumina on the desktop on FreeBSD and Project Trident. Project Trident is looking up to be very nice indeed. It's nice and crisp and clean, I like that. There's a lot of touches there which weren't there before. I'm liking it very much. Well, my verdict on Project Trident, or Trident 18.12, is one which mirrors my previous reviews of TrueOS running Lumina. In the sense, I think it's a fantastic effort at making a user-friendly or desktop or workstation-ready FreeBSD derived operating system. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think Lumina has come a long way in the time since Trident split from, well, not split, but it they've tweaked it and they've refined it. It looks smooth, it works very well. I didn't notice any major glitches. There might be 1 or 2 design choices which perhaps I wouldn't have gone with. I mean that's only in repetition of some menu items, and perhaps in the case of desktop effects, how on one screen it gives you the option to tweak which settings which you want, and yet on a completely different settings tab it's whether you want to turn them on or off, and it's off by default. So if you come across the settings first, you'll think nothing's happened. But apart from that, I mean, it's the system detects the USBs, it detects the scanner, although I'm having issues with my scanner and the hardware that I'm using it on. It detects the webcam. It does everything you want it to do. And being someone who actually really appreciates FreeBSD, I appreciate its stability and its overall use of resources. I think that if you was to marry Lumina with that, which they've done, you can come out with a potentially fantastic desktop alternative. I mean, yes, we all know about GNOME, KDE, XFCE, OpenBox. I mean, they're all fine in their own way. Of course they are. But there's something special to me about Lumina, because it was a window manager. I wouldn't say it was a full desktop environment. It's a window manager which was created for TrueOS. First and foremost, it was developed for that particular, well, PCBSD, but it was developed for that particular platform. And for them systems, you've got a homegrown window manager. It doesn't require any special keyboard knowledge or any understanding of the various command line or config files. It would require someone to relearn maybe the ways of doing things on the desktop, but you know, people had to do that when Microsoft brought out Windows 8 and Windows even earlier brought out Windows 95, because previously people have been using Windows 3.1. So people are capable of learning new ways of doing things on the desktop. So I think in this case, you know, it's not a huge shift away, but once you get used to the different quirks and ways of doing things, it flows naturally. So I would recommend it. It picks up the peripherals with no problems. There may be one or two issues with perhaps more exotic peripherals. I didn't connect up a Bluetooth adapter, so if you wanted to use one with your mobile phone, well, you know, there may be a problem with that. There may not. I don't know. I didn't test that. I haven't got one at hand. So yeah, I would recommend it. I think it's becoming a very polished operating system. I think the developers have done a fantastic job on this, and they really should be applauded for what they've done. They did it in quite quick time, considering that there was preliminary announcement and then this. So they've done really good. I mean, I shouldn't imagine that it's a huge team, but they've done very well in the resources that they've got. So my hat goes off to them, really. A job well done. You can check out the release yourself. I'll leave a link in the description below to the Project Trident website. And let me know down below what you think about this if you've tried it out. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.